What Elon Musk is doing, in my view, is plainly illegal.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question? Did Joe Biden have staff at the White House? And how many of those staff members were elected?
Well,
all right, I know you're going to enjoy this video because we are going to cover the latest meltdown surrounding unelected officials, surrounding Elon Musk, and surrounding a lot of other new topics as well. Now, before we start this video, please like the video. It's the #1 way you can help this channel, and it helps others see the videos as well. It helps out so much. Let us begin.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question? Did Joe Biden have staff at the White House? And how many of those staff members were elected?
Well, but Scott, Elon
zero.
Musk
The answer is zero. Every president appoints people to do things for them. To call him unelected is like the most naive and ridiculous talking point I've ever heard.
Scott, I can't believe you would believe something like this, because if this was Joe Biden allowing for a billionaire,
allowing people who weren't elected to run the country for the last 4 years, yeah, I would believe that actually.
Okay, you can leave your comments down below how you feel about all of this, but Scott Jennings is absolutely correct. There have always been and always will be unelected officials, so what's the problem? Because Americans don't seem to have a problem with it.
And I will say the politics of this are quite good. 72% of Americans want an agency dedicated to efficiency. 60% say DOGE is helping. 69% support cutting $1 trillion from the federal budget, and 70% believe there is waste, fraud, and inefficiency in the government. So this is an issue that people know is a problem, and they, I think, are giving Trump some political leash to go out and solve it.
The reason why I wanted to do this interview is to explain one thing to your viewers. The overall objectives and the goals and the general policies behind what's been happening is approved of. But the language and the communication, the messaging is over the top. And the public understands that these are real people with real families and real concerns. They're not seeking chaos. They're seeking an orderly change of the way things are. The Democrats are wrong by talking about resistance, because the public doesn't want resistance.
On this channel, I always give you guys the full picture, and you can leave your comments down below how you feel about this. But without a doubt, there are definitely Republicans out there who are on board with Donald Trump and DOGE. However, they are not on board with how harsh things are being done and this tonality of not caring about people losing their jobs. Again, leave your comments down below how you feel about this, and if you're sensing some Republicans also feeling this way.
You understand the scale of the threat, and you have ideas about how to interrupt what feels like something that we have not experienced since the Civil War in terms of the threat to our republic.
So as you can see, there is a vast contrast, and this is why the majority of Americans seem to be on Team Trump, even if you don't like Team Trump, because if not, you have to compare all of this to the Civil War, and I don't think a majority of Americans, statistically speaking, think this is comparable to the Civil War.
He goes in and fires people, terminates programs, causes immense harm to people who have been working for years for this country, patriotic Americans, and to the Americans who receive these services. And then he says, oh, whoops, I made a mistake. That's completely unacceptable and should be unacceptable to anyone who loves this country.
And yet, Kevin, you've got a full tooth grin. Why?
Because my cohort's full of crap. He has no executional mandate. He can't do anything he just said. He is just simply observing, pointing out, and letting the American people know what he's found. And if you don't like it, okay, that's all right. But he does not have the ability to do what Congress has, to execute on his recommendations.
Okay, I think it's important to note that Elon Musk and DOGE, they have made mistakes. Now, the topic is this: are the mistakes so big that we have to stop what he's doing, or is it expected that mistakes are going to be made?
Well, they have more work to do, and one of the things I actually think they could do is, over time, collect all their results, all their findings, all the things that they've uncovered, and actually go up to Congress and work with Congress on a hearing where they could maybe make a presentation to the people's representatives. I think that would be good practice and good politics.
And they might actually have to do that legally, because they can't just cut things without Congress.
I think that would be fine.
This guy is just pointing out what every American wants to know. If you're making $68,000 sitting at your kitchen, which is the average American, watching this kind of waste, you're pissed. You're really pissed.
So I wanted to show you guys the contrast or the total discussion as far as conservative talking points. You have a Scott Jennings saying, look, maybe we can take this to Congress and make more of a formality between DOGE and Congress and try to come together. And then you have Kevin O'Leary, and I think he represents a lot of Americans as well, that look, the normal American doesn't have time for all of this. I am reading the headlines and I am pissed off. Why are my tax dollars going to these random things that I would never imagine they would go to?
So, Scott, is the Trump administration at risk of overstepping with these efforts?
Well, I don't think they're at risk of overstepping with the American people. I think part of the election result was the American people actually asking for a sledgehammer to the federal government. I mean, trusted government was low, dissatisfaction with the government was low, dissatisfaction with the previous administration was low, and dissatisfaction was high with politicians who for years have said, I'm going to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, and never seem to do it. So I like Representative Maliatokas, but with all due respect, I don't think the voters are wanting a scalpel. I do think they're wanting larger implements like a sledgehammer or a chainsaw.
And look, statistics and polls that are unofficial even back Donald Trump and what he's doing. This is from Andrew Yang, a businessman. I think you guys remember he ran for president back in 2021. He said, how are you feeling about the Trump admin thus far? Great has a 77% vote rate out of 302,000 votes. Let that sink in.
Longer true. I think that's no longer true, Scott.
Lulu,
honestly, you're seeing the polling and you're seeing how unpopular.
And Donald Trump has a better than 50% approval rating. I have seen the polling.
And you see how unpopular Elon Musk is, how unpopular DOGE is, and beyond that, there is a real concern about the kinds of.
You know what I love about you, Lulu, is that you get to say what you want to say, and then you got to say what you think I ought to say. Why don't you just let me finish my point here? The point, Wolf, is this: the American people asked for a different direction, and what they did not ask for was a continuation of the status quo.
I really try not to sway your opinion in these videos. That's why I let the clips speak for themselves. But if you are denying statistical data and facts that the majority of Americans agree with Donald Trump, I don't know what to tell you. In fact, I keep seeing discussions like this, especially from people like Elizabeth Warren.
What Elon Musk is doing, in my view, is plainly illegal. He's trying to take the legs out from under, with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Congress passes the laws. We have an agency. The agency has obligations, legal obligations that it has to meet. Under the Constitution, it is the responsibility of the administration to administer those laws. And if they fail to do that or do it inappropriately, it is the responsibility of the courts to make them do it.
And I'm sure you guys are seeing this too, that this is illegal and you have to go through Congress and this is morally wrong. However, court battle after court battle, judge after judge, Donald Trump's administration seems to be even winning in the court systems. But again, this is an overall bad look for Democrats.
I have an idea for them. Why don't they cut the $15 billion that Musk has received in federal funding? I mean, if
what would
he
you like
cares,
to cut specifically?
I would.
Him rescuing our astronauts, giving internet to Ukraine?
No, wait, no. He's not rescuing our.
Hold on. So Elon's programs are fine, but everybody else's programs.
No, she said she wants to cut him out of the government. He does a lot of important things. I'm just asking what you want to get rid of. We need a space program, I think.
We're not talking about a space program. I'm talking about how Elon Musk, the wealthiest person in the world, is in the federal government making decisions about grants and about funding whenever he benefits from those things. He has people in a number of government agencies, yes, it is true, including the FBI, in order to find ways to gain grants and to make more money. And are you okay with that? Is that something you're okay with? You're for cutting.
I think
you're for cutting, but you're not for cutting.
I think you're full of it. B.
I'm not full of it. I have sources at the FBI.
He provides all sorts of services to the government.
Just a second.
Okay, look, I think everyone agrees. You are allowed to question, is the world's richest man trying to maybe gain some favor within the United States and make some extra money? You can ask that question. But when you look into what money he's making from the United States, first off, he's not making anything from this whole DOGE program. Second off, as Scott Jennings pointed out, when you look into what money he's making, it's from space programs. It's from things that we all benefit from, and also things from around the world other people benefit from as well. So you guys can leave your comments down below how you feel about this argument.
You just denigrated Bongino's law enforcement credentials. He was a cop and a Secret Service agent. You denigrated his academic credentials. He has a master's degree.
Just because he was a police officer doesn't make him qualified to run a 38,000 person, $11 billion budget agency, just like Pete Hegseth.
But you know what does? Because he
National Guardsman or whatever he was, doesn't either. Thank you for your service.
The confidence and the pleasure of the president.
Okay, we have to talk about this. I know by now you guys know Bongino is the deputy director of the FBI. And by the way, he is already at work. Investigations are already happening. However, on this channel, another very common theme is that for some reason we have news anchors who are so confident in gaslighting people who have risked their lives at the most elite and top levels for this country. I just want to point that out because you just saw a very sarcastic remark. Thank you for this. Thank you for your service. When Pete Hegseth has been deployed and has actually, done the thing that many people are afraid to do, serve this country.
And
Whose judgment is terrible.
And I'm sorry that you are not yet over the outcome of the election.
No, because look at what's happening to our country. And I'll never be over it, Scott. This is dismantling our democracy in front of our eyes, and you guys are okay with it.
You had a city that was smaller than the amount of people that live on this block, and he was the Secretary of Transportation. You had the guy who was stealing luggage. I mean, I think anyone who's defending at any point defending the Biden administration.
But this is the FBI.
So?
Correct.
Yeah, and this is someone who has a career in law enforcement for many years.
Does Dan Bongino have the qualifications to be the second person in charge of the FBI?
Yes, he has law enforcement, he has academic, and again, let me just stress this. I've mentioned this before.
So when you stack up his
serve at the
credentials
pleasure of the president. That's the political appointment.
I know that is the answer to every question, is that Donald Trump wants it, so therefore it is good.
For political appointments, yes.
But when we look at, we're talking about people who are qualified and not, and you look at his resume and compare it to Republican and Democrat nominees for that same position, is he qualified?
I mean, first of all, I'm not sure all the people that have been appointed in the past have covered themselves in glory. I mean, some of them have done a terrible job and gotten in lots of trouble.
Yeah, this to me is a very interesting talking point, and it's also a talking point that really doesn't work anymore, in my personal opinion. As far as hey, does this guy have the qualifications? What about all of the other people, as Scott Jennings points out, in virtually every other position who's maybe done a bad job? What about all of those very overqualified people? Are they also making bad mistakes, or are they perfect? In these positions, as Scott Jennings says, you are appointed by Donald Trump. And again, you are allowed to be concerned, considering the FBI is a very, very important role, let alone second in command of the FBI. You are allowed to question that. But as far as question if somebody is able to actually do the job, again, obviously Donald Trump feels very confident about it. And if he does wrong or the FBI goes bad with all of these appointees, it's on Donald Trump.
Yeah, I've been following Bongino for years, although we did both block each other on Twitter. It got pretty heated years ago. Look, Trump likes figures right out of central casting, and Bongino fits the bill. He became a big star on Fox News during the first Trump term. He was saying all the things Trump wanted to hear, including denigrating the FBI. He's a macho figure, someone who's out there trying to pick fights and stoke fights. And that's the thing about Bongino. The incentives for television and radio and podcasting are very different than the incentives for government service. Bongino was incentivized to throw punches, to channel people's rage and resentments, to stoke fears, to promote conspiracy theories, including Trump's theories about the 2020 election. He was a big pusher of the big election lies in 2020. Those were the incentives for Bongino at Fox, and then later on the radio, on podcasts, at Rumble, a right-wing video website. Those are just very different incentives.
So yeah, as you guys can see, we have quite the contrast of a lot of support and a lot of not support. But one thing that is for sure, again, you see these news anchors on TV who feel very confident and okay, not almost, but really insulting the man's service to this country, as if he's never risked his life for this country.
Yes, you can't be surgically precision. There's no way to be surgically precision in this. You have to cut more because you just don't know. There's no way to do it. Remember, we've never audited government for 100 years. Never done this before. You may not like it.
Tom doesn't think that's right. Tom, what's your reaction to that? There's government's not audited.
Every agency of the federal government, it helps to know some things if we're going to have this debate. Every agency of the federal government is audited by independent inspectors general. USAID was audited over 60 times last year. And one of the first things that Donald Trump and Elon Musk did was to fire all of the inspectors general. They fired the auditors and they put in charge this billionaire with his 50 child interns who know absolutely nothing about the federal government. And Kevin, like what you're talking about, it might work for a company that makes widgets, because we can do without the company that makes widgets for a few months while you get in there and you restructure it. You can't do that to the FAA unless people aren't going to fly in planes for the next 4 or 5 months. You can't do that to the Defense Department unless you don't want to defend this country for the next 4 or 5 months. It's ridiculous that we're even having this argument, and I'm someone who believes there is waste in government and there are ways to get at it, but not by firing everybody first, shutting things down while you investigate. Do the investigation, work with Congress, work with these employees, do it right. It's been done before.
All right, I think this is a good place to stop. If you guys are still watching this video, I really appreciate it. I just find it so ironic that this gentleman is saying, look, USAID, they have been under an audit over 60 times. Really? Have they really been under an audit? Because if they've been under an audit and all of this is happening, we can only imagine what else is going to be uncovered. Whether you like it or not, it's happening. This is our current America. And let me know how you guys feel about all of this. Thank you so much for being here. I love all of you guys, and we'll see you guys later. We still have a lot more work to do, and I am doing this every single day for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video.